So, buy me a soda pop?
I've only got enough money for one Coke.
Oh, that's so sweet. We'll share. Or I'll just have it.
Okay, so last week I was on the toilet and wait. People actually hate Jenny from the block? Surprisingly so. Well, dang, this would make a good video topic. Hi, I'm Kitty Monk and I'm here to talk to you about American Dad. Or more specifically, Roger's persona, Jenny from the block. Clearly not a reference to a lady who thinks Ben is so perfect and loves him more than tacos. Of course, you know by now I like to talk about episodes related to Jenny before talking about the episode and Jenny herself, just to make it clear. Plus, I'm in Las Vegas for Level Up Expo. I hope I publish it by then, so I really need a lazy week. Now, the fun part about Roger's personas is that he can be anyone and everyone. Doesn't matter the age or the species. I told you, he was a freaking kite in one episode. However, there are personas that split the fandom down the middle, and apparently one of these personas is Jenny from the block. Name notwithstanding, she is best known for dating Snot and causing a Yoko Ono to happen. Many fans hate her, many fans love her, except honestly, you know I like to take a middle ground approach, not because I'm a coward, but because I feel both sides have something to contribute. So I will say on her own, I don't really mind Jenny. I mean, she isn't my absolute favorite Roger persona, and I'm not really clamoring for her to come back, but she's not my least favorite. I don't viscerally hate her, and I kind of like the idea of her hanging out with Steve. I mean, one of the personas that they did for the Create Your Own Roger persona contest was a golf girl who hated Steve, which really, you should make that an episode, I'm sorry. But why do people hate Jenny? Well, I think people hate Jenny for the same reason they hate Jose Bose, but they can still get past his voice. His episode has somebody get tortured and have a pretty bad ending in the process, albeit there is a gross argument to Jenny we will get to. So, let's discuss. Shmuley Lonstein.
The did you just call me?
Okay, fine. Snot is Steve's best friend and has been since childhood. He is best known for a lot of things, like being poor, having a horny mom, a deadbeat father who disappeared and eventually died, and also being Jewish. Just saying, there are times when him being Jewish is relevant to the plot. The biggest being Bar Mitzvah Hustle, where Snot is on trial with the Beit Din for supposedly stealing Eitan's Bar Mitzvah money, and Roger's testimony is so over the top and anti-Semitic that Snot just gets the book thrown at him without so much as a proper trial. Like, they don't get past the opening statements.
Killed Jesus Christ, the only true Son of God. And isn't it true that the Jews put a secret sauce on their Reubens that is actually just Thousand Island?
Or where Snot taught Roger about the concept of Hanukkah and Roger ruined it by becoming Shmanta, effectively commercializing and secularizing a holiday that's not held near and dear to his chest. So, wow, Roger has ruined Snot's life at least 3 times. That's just off the top of my head. He's like Beetlejuice. However, a problem I eventually want to cover in a Steven Snot video, or maybe half covered already, who knows, this video was like produced in March, February, and now it's like the end of April, is that I feel like Steven Snot are good friends. Heck, great friends. They're best friends. But God, I hate saying this, they're effectively holding each other back. I mean, one episode had the pair get really horrible futures, and it was almost always because of something Snot did, whereas Steve would almost always turn out okay. Like, he had to hold himself back so his friend could succeed. How does Jenny fit in? Well, let's discuss. The episode opens up as a flashback and establishes a couple of things. The first being that Steve is the de facto leader of their little friend group, which for reference consists of Snot, Steve, Barry, and Toshi. Oh wait, I gotta make a Toshi video next.
Interesting how we've developed such a sophisticated hierarchy at this young age.
Shut up, Barry.
I'm at the bottom.
And this will be important later, even if honestly in most episodes they tend to treat each other like equals, but I guess we need a conflict, so we're gonna go with this. Although I will say it does make sense. To me, I think it's because Steve is arguably the most quote-unquote normal out of his friends. A question that gets asked a lot on my channel, and which I eventually or have eventually covered, is why do Steve and his friends hang out with each other? Toshi even commented that he and Barry only really hang out together because of other people in proximity, and realistically, they'll probably lose touch after they both graduate. Well, I think it's because all 4 are outcasted nerds thrown out for one reason or another. Barry because he's an idiot, and and evil, and also fat because high schoolers are evil, and Toshi because he only speaks Japanese, refuses to learn English, and thinks he's better than everybody else. Oh, you think you're better than me? Snot is a pervert who doesn't bother hiding it, which to a girl is an instant turnoff. Steve, I'd argue, is pretty normal, some of his childish issues aside. Like, no joke, in high school, I was basically Steve if Steve hung out with the teachers and loved books and SU. And if he just got past his social issues, even if he wouldn't be all that popular, I could see him at least having some pull. License to Till made a good case for that. Snot, I'd argue, is the second most normal, but again, because he tends to be a creep without realizing it, combined with his unconventional interests, it's why he's so unpopular. With Snot, the main girl he's attracted to this time around is Haley, which isn't a one-time thing, it does happen throughout the show. Even one episode had him eventually score with her, as in just go on a date because Snot is a minor and Haley is still mourning Jeff. The hell episode? If Jeff was dating like Lisa Silver, this would not be cool. And Snot was over her because wanting is arguably better than having.
Obsessed with her for years.
Thanks for the history lesson.
Oh my God. Now that she wants you, you don't want her.
What do you know? I guess I'm just more interested in the hunt.
Jerk. Here we see this one as far back as childhood.
Look at her. Are you digging for my heart in there, Tadpole? It's there. That's where it resides.
Yeah, no offense, dude. If I was a kid, I'd probably find that weird. Sorry, when I was young, I wasn't really into people. I was quiet and I lived in a shell. Now I call it an autism nest. Steve tells Snot to get over it and put his issues on the back burner.
Hey, you shouldn't be worrying about girls for another 10 years. Should be worrying about blocks.
You're right, Steve. You're always right.
And this would continue into present years. In the present day, Haley and Jeff are married, and Snot is still single. And he's not, by himself, except for presumably a sock bearing his namesake. The hell I am descriptive.
Snot! Focus!
I can't take it anymore. He doesn't treat her right. Why isn't he grabbing her tush?
Because he's married, Snot, and love fades, I hate to say. Not like, ugh, I don't love you no more. But love matures, and after a while, the love changes from something physical to something more mature. Like, you're not rabid animals, you're more like really good best friends. Not roommates, just like really good best friends, intimate friends. I mean, I hear, like, I don't date. I'm more like an aunt, even if I'm Mama Monk or Mama Kitty. Nobody is gonna wife me up, I'm like Thelma Kelly. Plus, they're both doing something separately, and I feel him grabbing Haley's tush would get in the way of that. Wow, Snot really is a creep. Again, no wonder no girl wants to hang out with him. Also, you and the boys being here is likely also a factor. He's being courteous to the guests who are also minors. Steve describes what the bulk of the episode will be about. The boys, being best buds, always take an annual trip together.
Every year we pool our leftover babysitting and allowance money and use it to take a trip together as best pals. And every year I come up with something awesome for us to do.
But, and this is important, it's not they all decide where to go together, or somebody shouts out an answer and then they vote on it. Steve is the one to decide where they will go. Wow, he really is his father being controlling. Actually, no, there was one episode where Stan hung out with his CIA buddies and he was the nerd, so... yeah, maybe he's better than his father. However, the idea of Haley, a grown woman way out of Snot's league who isn't interested in him in the slightest, is something he cannot stand for. So he decides to shoot his shot and finally tell Haley he's in love with her. Even if she probably already noticed, and even if the word you're looking for is infatuation, since love and infatuation are totally different.
I don't want to be in love with her. She's your sister. She's married. She's Haley.
First of all, you're not in love. You just have a crush. Happens to me all the time. The good news is, it'll pass.
Love American Dad style did point that out. Plus, considering how easily all that quote-unquote love faded when you actually got with Haley, yeah, I think infatuation is a better term for it. The longer you're apart, the more you obsess over the possibility, and the more you're infatuated with her. Of course, yeah, I am getting second-degree embarrassment osmosis, and you guys see my TikTok reels. I'm a pretty cringy person. And my Instagram reels. Go follow me there.
I am here for the fair Haley.
Oh, God.
Haley, I love you.
Oh, God.
Like Haley points out, she's already married, she's in a committed relationship, and in any case, he's her brother's best friend, so there's no way she would ever be interested, age gap aside.
No, I don't love you. Okay, I'm married. Sometimes happily.
And I gotta give her points. I like how she just tries to assert a boundary with Snot in a very mature way. Like, look, I'm sorry I'm not into you. When knowing Haley, she easily could have gone for the jugular, and she actually does at the end, but that's only after hours of having to put up with this. The thing is, well, Snot is kind of a caricature of somebody the 2000s really propped up, and a trope I'm glad has mostly died out. A character, usually a boy, has a crush on another character, often a girl, to almost stalker levels, and will take no for an answer, as in, oh, she's not interested, but I'll do something cool to win her over every single episode. Think Trixie and Timmy, Panini and Chowder, etc. And yeah, I think, again, this is a major reason why Snot isn't well liked, and why he has to hang out with his friends.
Ah! Elephant! Your favorite animal! I rented it for you. Say you love me.
No.
See, let me make this clear. When we AFAB say no, we mean it. We mean no. We mean we're not interested. We're people, not animals to chase, not objects to worship. We have feelings, thoughts, and opinions, you creeps. And if you really did care about us, you would keep your weird comments to yourself. You would accept the fact we said no because we have that right, because consent, and it means you care about us as people. If you really cared after all, you would want us to be happy, and we wouldn't be happy having to put up with you. And honestly, because I am all for gender equality, the reverse is true, ladies and my fellow AFABs. If a girl, guy, whatever says they aren't interested, then they aren't interested, and nothing is going to change that, and you trying to change that will just make it worse. Just accept it. Maybe you're a little brave because you did shoot your shot, and move on. You'll be better off for it, as will them. I don't know. I'm sorry, I don't mean to rant. I just feel like the early 2000s really pushed this, and even up until the 2010s, and I wouldn't be surprised if this is why a lot of guys act almost entitled around women today. Not saying like it's a cause, since I don't blame shows. I blame the idiots who think it's perfectly okay to copy their morals from those shows. It's just a correlation I noticed. Still, I appreciate how Snot had to learn his lesson the hard way. And no offense, dude, a lot of what you're doing, like the batteries, yeah, that feels like a stalkerish level stretch. Like if a guy told me like, oh, I know you like batteries because I saw you using batteries that one time, I'd be like, how did you know about that one time? Regardless, the point is, he also spent a bunch of money trying to impress Haley, and it was all for nothing.
Aha! I hired a 12-piece orchestra to play your favorite song, Gangsta's Paradise by Coolio.
BTW, this was the episode where I found out about Gangsta's Paradise by Coolio, and I actually checked out the song because I like the orchestration of it, and it was my favorite for a while. And remember, I started watching the show when I was in middle school, so like maybe 2012, 2014, around there. So I liked it before it got meme-matic popular, ya Justin Britney wannabe posers. Snot enters into an intense, heartbroken depression once he realizes he will never gain Haley's love, because Haley is not a prize to be won, Snot. Who are you, Gaston? I mean, at least Gaston only went after one person.
I'm sorry Haley rejected you, but look at it this way. Now that you've spent all your bar mitzvah money trying to get her, you don't have to worry about your mom stealing it out of your account anymore.
Like, I wouldn't be surprised if the money angle is also why he's super depressed. Like, imagine spending all that money and it's for nothing. And even Steve pointed out he had problems with the money. Even if, yeah, I guess he is weirdly possessive.
If it makes you feel any better, I'm pretty sure she has the herpes. Yeah, she does.
So does most of the population, Steve. And wait, you didn't announce that? Dude, that's like your friend, and if there's anything that would make him lose interest in a girl, I think it would almost certainly be that. Even if most of the population does have it, but that's just me in my brain. Granted, I feel like if Snot really did love Haley and not a version of her in his head, he would know that, since Haley never tried hiding it, considering edible panties.
Fish can't get herpes, can they?
No, heartbreak does suck. I hear. I don't date after all. I actually really don't date. But I think the best cure for it is time. It's kind of the same thing as what happens with every bad, sad, traumatic event. Since after a while, it does suck, but it does kind of fade. I mean, it sucks and it will never truly go away, I feel. It'll just get a little bit better. But in the fades in the sense that you'll know how to deal with it. And maybe you'll look back on the memory and laugh at it like, I'm such an idiot. Especially considering how often Snot gets rejected. Maybe Haley being the one to reject him hurts a bit more, but yeah, time is the best cure. It will suck at first, but kind of like love, yes, it just fades. But obviously in the moment, it does obviously suck. Steve doesn't know what to do, but then he gets an idea from Roger, under his persona of... You know, he never names this dude, I don't think. Or is that supposed to be Sweeps from White Rice?
My doctor gave me a promotional stress ball. As if fidgeting with some dumb ball will take the weight of the world off my shoulders. Actually, it's helping a lot.
Whatever, Roger.
Aw, stress ball. I bet they feel nice. Oh, Kitty, you don't know the half of it. Wow, Catherine, I didn't know you've been places. Good for you. Steve implores Roger to disguise himself as a teenage girl, Jenny from the block, and date Snot to give him back his confidence.
You know, put together a teenage girl disguise. Laugh at his jokes, smile, twirl your hair a little, build his confidence.
Really? Why do all this? You can't just do the confidence? It's a big, bold step called the confidence. Surprised that wasn't on the music album. However, Roger doesn't want to do it because he doesn't want to switch personas willy-nilly's Wonderland.
See, sometimes certain characters just grab a hold of you, and brother, they set up shop in the depths of your soul.
Albeit, there's another reason nobody is talking about that I feel the episode never properly points out. It's too freaking early. It's way too early for Snot to get with someone after he got his heart broken. Because he hasn't learned his lesson yet. He hasn't learned why the quote-unquote breakup happened, so to speak. He's just gonna go and make more mistakes again and get his heart broken again. And likely twice as worse in that case, because he'll be like, why does this keep happening to me? Why does everyone keep leaving me? Okay, new plan. You're all going to die. Today! Oh, off topic. Just saying, this is Roger. Like, I know you had the best intentions, Steve, but you know Roger. You might tell Roger to do something, but I could totally see Roger being like, ugh, I hate this kid. And then he breaks up with him in the most violent way possible. Remember, he was just supposed to be nice to Chocolate Chip Cookie, and then he and Gingerbread here got into drugs. And considering how Snot collapses like a bruised fruit whenever he's rejected, what was your plan gonna be for ending this? Because I feel like, would Snot lose interest? Like, were you counting on that? I don't know. To me, it's the same mindset as wanting to buy a new dog immediately after burying one. You're not over it yet. I mean, come on. For some people, the death of a dog is like the death of a child. And I know it sucks, and I know the woods are dark and scary, but unfortunately, the only way out is through. You're gonna get through this. You got through something just as bad before, and you're gonna be stronger for it. But Steve is able to convince Roger.
You get to go to Forever 21.
Cigarette jeans!
Roger, speaking as a fellow girl with a sexy snake side? Why did I do that? Forever 21 cannot be trusted outside of dresses. They do not serve fat people all that well. Either it's too small, and that's me putting it lightly, or it's like wearing a giant tarp. Just go to H&M or Primark. You can get like 5 pairs of cigarette jeans for the price of one at Forever 21, although you will have to pick it up in stores. Steve takes Snot to an arcade in order to engineer a meet cute. They still have arcades.
You gonna play that game or just lean on it? Name's Jenny. Jenny Fromdabloc.
And finally, 18 pages into the script, Jenny exists and has met Snot, and a relationship is beginning. I don't know if that's poor pacing or if I'm just really terrible when it comes to expressing my thoughts, because I have a tendency to deviate and zigzag like a dude running away from a dude with a chainsaw. Oh, I mean, I didn't want to say it, but you did think of the chainsaw analogy. Shut up, Catherine.
I'm Steve's cousin visiting from Jersey.
Yes! Yes, she is. I didn't mention it because...
No one's doing the math.
Well, I mean, your father works for the CIA, and his father is also a man whore, so is it really that bad to say you suddenly found a cousin out of thin air? Or maybe just say that she's like one of those cousins who's not blood related, but your families are so super close that she, in any other context, would basically be a cousin. But I do love how often they mention Jersey whenever the Smiths need to disguise themselves. Like when Stan is Phyllis and claims she's from Hoboken. Oh, of course she would be from Hoboken. That place was a major sundown town. Or still is, I don't know, I don't live there. Do the writers know somebody from Jersey, or was one of them from Jersey? I don't know, I just like how they're bringing it up so often. Jenny flirts with Snot, and in seconds, he's under her spell.
Your hair, it's curly.
You should see it when I wash it on Tuesdays.
Lucky. You only have to wash your hair once a week, and it's curly like mine. Lucky. The next day, Snot runs to school to inform the boys that he's done something none of them ever did. Cut his period? Oh my god, why did 14-year-old me want that? Now I have PMDD.
And then we went to the beach and stayed up all night talking about our hopes and dreams. Then I her. I finally did it, man!
But you're like 14 or 15. That's kind of gross. Especially on a beach, presumably at night. Oh my god. I guess it's better than doing it with the kid you technically raised. Regardless, he's ecstatic. He's gotten sniz on the reg.
Take it from someone who's getting sniz on the reg. And you're jealous that I'm getting sniz on the reg.
Stop saying that!
The hell? That's not rizzing me up with the skibbity sigma. However, this is bad for other reasons. By the laws of high school, that means he will never ever leave Jenny until they go to separate colleges and slowly realize they're two separate people and slowly lose touch. Steve is of course pissed when he finds out because, yeah, that's gross. And that's not what Roger was supposed to do! He was supposed to build up his confidence, which considering how he never saw that scene, since obviously they could not show it, maybe he actually did as Jenny. Because we don't know who initiated it. Maybe it was Snot, because he had that much confidence.
You're an alien! How is that even physically possible?
Well, you see, Steve, just because I don't have your traditional human...
Really? Really, you're asking that? Roger has the ability to make himself gain a fudge load of weight to make his personas work. I feel like he could easily manage that. Even if it's as simple as like a magic trick. Plus, there are ways around it, which I'm not comfortable saying, but you know what I mean. However, yeah, I am starting to get why people dislike this episode and dislike this character. It's a gross out episode, and gross out is not for everyone. I'm not even all that comfortable with gross out.
You can have these, Steve. We have roll-ups of our own.
Maybe it's not as bad as, say, Tapped Out or Stan's Best Friend or Closure, because we never actually see what happens, we're just told. But for many people, again, they hate those episodes. I feel like they would also hate this. It would be a major turnoff, especially because of the age gap. See, yes, Roger is an alien, and even if he acts like a teenager at times, well, he's basically an adult. He's treated like an adult by the Smiths, he acts like an adult, he once got Steve pregnant, he has his own child, he disguises himself the most frequently as Uncle Roger. And yes, Roger did say in the Great Space Roaster he was going through puberty, but again, he's also an alien. And he's an alien capable of doing adult things, so technically speaking, Roger is an adult pretending to be a teenage girl and dating a teenage boy.
I have to say it was super relaxing being an innocent young girl for a change.
Innocent? You did it with Snot on the beach!
Yeah, I did.
So it's really weird, and I'd imagine it going on for prolonged periods of time would make some people kind of uncomfortable or gross. I mean, I already made my point about Marco and Hekapoo and why I don't ship them. Just, I guess for this, imagine if Alicia Wilkner was a whole episode and not just like a quick 30-second joke. Admittedly, even though I'm not trying to clutch my pearls, I do find it kind of funny just because of the reactions to what's happening.
Oh, Steve, you're home. I made bologna roll-ups for Snot and your cousin? Cousin.
Like, it's gross, but sometimes for me, if people in the universe act like it's gross too, I'm like, yeah, that's true. Just saying, I found the concept of Steve having Roger's baby hilarious, and I have a healthy dose of black comedy tolerance. But this isn't why I have a problem with the episode, and admittedly, it is a nitpick, not like a, I hate this episode and all who inhabit it. We'll get to that. Because Snot has, quote,
You've been intimate with a lady.
Wow, you're so proper, young man.
And boobies.
Well, his friends now start to side with him and take advice from him rather than Steve.
Hey guys, so I had a few pitches for our annual Friends excursion. I was thinking...
Steve is, of course, upset, but I feel like, no offense, dude, just give him his moment in the sun. Snot doesn't get to have the attention that often, and whenever he does, especially here, Steve tends to shoot him down or say it's no big deal. Unfortunately, it turns out that Roger wasn't lying, and since he's basically a glorified method actor, well, he gets too into character and actually starts to like Snot back. Like, not in a, okay, I'm just doing this because Steve asked way, he legitimately means it.
I'll tell you what's going on here. I like Snot. He's cute and he's funny and he treats me nice. Reminds me of a young Paul Reiser.
He is nothing like a young Paul Reiser.
You likely knew this kid since he was old enough to walk and suck his thumb, you creep. But considering how he was on Earth since the 40s, there's a strong possibility he actually did know Paul Reisler when he was younger and he's being genuine. Albeit, yeah, more bad stuff for Steve. Slowly but surely, Snot becomes cooler because he's the only one to have a girlfriend and for their relationship to get physical, even if Toshi had that mail order bride. Well, Kitty, did him and Svetlana get sniz on the reg? No, I don't think so. Then that's your answer. It's to the point where they start hanging out at Snot's house instead.
It's sort of weird, huh? Hanging out at your house, Snot? I mean, we usually hang out at my place.
Yeah, stuff happens at other people's houses too, Steve.
Plus, I'd argue his house is a bit better since they get a whole basement to hang out in, and Mrs. Lonstein doesn't really, bother them, so to speak. And while Barry and Toshi are rude to Steve, I don't think it's solely because they're just being followers. Well, in a way, I guess, but you know what I mean. I think it's because they now recognize that Snot is the leader, and arguably he's a better leader who seems to care more about them than Steve ever did. For instance, Steve brings up his idea for the trip to be to just go to Baskin-Robbins and try every single flavor.
You know how Baskin-Robbins has 31 flavors? Get this, we try every single flavor in one day.
But Snot has a better idea.
I was thinking we'd go to Wild Westland. Yeah!
And keep in mind, while this whole thing seems better on the surface because, hey, it's a theme park, Steve just said something they could do on an average Saturday. They could be doing that right now. How is that special? Whereas Snot, he brings up how the park will be overflowing with teenage girls for them to try and hook up with.
And remember, boys, there will be girls aplenty at Wild Westland. Take it from someone who's getting sniz on the reg.
It's like he's saying, I want you all to go here so you can be happy like me. Like he's supporting them. Plus, Snot just brought up the idea, despite the fact it was a discussion, whereas Steve said, okay, we're gonna go here. He basically phrased his order as a question, so they would have no choice but to say yes.
What you thinking?
I don't want to tell in front of these guys.
You want to tell me over there?
Yeah.
Huh. Something happened. Now, I'll be honest, I actually kind of like this episode. I mean, I don't like the ending. I'll get there when I get there. But I was actually gearing up to write this as, oh, it's terrible, Steve, torture porn. What the hell? Weirdly, I do think it's kind of earned in the sense of it being a long time coming. I wouldn't be surprised if this is how Barry and Toshi always wanted to act around Steve, but never could. Plus, as Roger points out, well, there is a reason Steve is so against this happening. He probably doesn't actually care about Snot's happiness. He probably doesn't actually care about the implications. He just cares about his own social standing.
You can't stand the fact that Snot's cool now and you're no longer king of the nerds.
Well, that's ridiculous. I mean, sure, there's been an established hierarchy.
And while I think he's just saying this to get under Steve's skin, arguably he has a point. Well, I do think Steve cares about Snot, as he did care about him enough to put the whole Jenny plot into action. Well, much of what happens in the show can be traced back to him. Steve loves his friends, but deep down, part of him probably likes the fact he's the most normal and sane by comparison. And this isn't a one-time thing the episode made up. In Dungeons and Wagons, he acted like a jerk in World of Warcraft.
Peasant! I am not Steve.
Forgive me, O great and powerful Agathor.
As punishment for your insolence, you must now carry my backpack of holding.
And then once his character came back and they realized they didn't have to put up with his BS anymore, they just kept killing him off.
Hey guys, miss me? Now you shall learn the meaning of Rosa.
Maybe this is why he tries so hard to score, to again prove that he has a point, whereas Snot did what he couldn't, even if it was with Roger. After all, the boys just accepted in Stan's best friend that they wouldn't have any pull with girls until after college.
We are the geeks who don't get the choice babes until we're making major cash in our mid to late 30s.
俺は違うぜ。俺は日本にイケイケの女待たせてるし。
Steve just wanted to go out with Kimmy to seem cool, so he could bring back her bra and make it seem like they did things together. Plus, have you ever heard the expression, being a normal fish in a tiny pond? Where if you're on your own or in a small group or a small town, you seem like the most important person in the room. Whereas if you go to a bigger group, you kind of realize, yeah, everybody else is that same normal fish, so I'm nothing special. Yeah, Steve fits this 100%. To his nerdy friends, he's like a god, but to the rest of the school, he's repulsive.
I must have been making weird noises because a bunch of cats wouldn't leave us alone. Had to throw a couple cats.
Roger, how could you? Scoff, gasp, and gesture thing I do where my hand goes like this. However, Steve sees an opportunity when he realizes that, well, Roger and Snot were relieving stress.
Oh, this? My stress ball.
But there's a crack in it.
Uh-huh.
Oh my God, that's how you and Snot have been—
Relieving stress, because this is a stress ball.
Actually, no, I can't make that joke, albeit at least he's cleaning it. That is very important. Steve learns that Snot went with the guy to Wild Westland without him, which again makes perfect sense. They likely think Steve's holding them back, or Roger just wanted revenge because of Steve's comments, so he probably convinced them to go on a weekday. So Steve, absolutely pissed, rushes to the theme park and tells Snot the truth about the stress ball, not that Roger is an alien.
What's this?
a stress ball. Feel familiar?
Snot is absolutely mortified.
You made a fool out of me. I never want to see you again.
However, considering the ending, part of me feels like things should have ended here. The whole reason Roger became Jenny was to help build Snot's confidence back up, and it worked a little too well. Maybe this whole thing could constitute confidence on Snot's end, since while a little embarrassed, he still told off a girl who lied to him and made a fool out of him, and it would be a good way to retire Jenny and go back to the status quo. Heck, maybe because he was the one doing the rejecting, rather than getting rejected like usual, he wouldn't be too mopey about it. Maybe a little sad, but easily able to handle whatever life throws at him from now on. However, Snot once again enters a depression, likely worse so because he actually did love Jenny in spite of the lying, as does Roger this time around.
Please.
Fine, just go. Just ruin 2 lives and go.
Yeah, you tell him. It's cool. It seems Steve really hasn't learned his lesson. He still insists they go to Baskin-Robbins that weekend, even though none of them wanted to.
So guys, let's hit 31 flavors this weekend.
Dude, your buddy is experiencing a breakup. Not every breakup involves ice cream. Give him time to grieve.
Look, I know you're upset, but you had to know the truth. Trust me, I know what's best for the group.
That is diabolical. Like, damn, dude. Like, I'm sorry if I keep repeating myself, but damn. Like, if you really cared, you wouldn't do it so publicly, and you would have called or told him as soon as you found out, especially in a private manner, not a public manner. But no, you just gotta go and ruin it because you're king of the nerds. Even if Snot is king of the nerds because he was in that movie or show or whatever. In Dan Versus, we all forget about him, but he lives in the back of our minds. Menacingly! Steve finally realizes that Snot and Jenny really did care for one another, and both are absolutely heartbreaking.
You really liked him, didn't you?
I did. He was just really sweet.
Roger, I'm sorry.
Lion sack of pig crap. Roger tells Steve that Jenny desperately wants to get back together with Snot, but feels it's never going to happen considering the deception. However, Steve claims he has a way to do it that'll help the both of them, and I'm not in the mood to censor, so we're skipping to the next scene. Steve and his friends go back to the arcade to set up an ending, and Jenny shows up once again to reenact what happened.
Extra rotten, if you ask me.
I know, but I did it because I was saving myself for someone I loved.
Lying sack of horse chores crap. Jenny claims she wants to get physical for reals with Snot this time, and they kiss and make up. And then a buzz comes and Jenny goes the way of Gangle.
Wow, Snot, you're the man again.
Until tonight, my love.
Even if I feel like this defeats the point of that earlier scene, since Steve said there was a way for them to get back together, but wouldn't Jenny dying like 30 seconds later kind of defeat that point? Plus, Roger did desperately want to get back with Snot. Like, why would he be cool with this? Steve isn't even like, look, Roger, you need to break up with him or whatever. It's just, you know what I mean. Albeit, yeah, I do get why the episode did it, I just don't get why Steve did it or why he phrased it like that. After all, Jenny wasn't supposed to be permanent, and I think her dying would be the best way to get rid of her, since if, say, she moved back to Jersey, Snot would still have the means of contacting her. But hey, they hold a funeral for Jenny.
She loved you, man. She loved you. That's closer than any of us have ever gotten.
Yeah.
Steve, that's basically your entire character until the TBS seasons. Heck, I'd argue even until episodes like My Purity Ball and Chain, and even then, they do at least imply something might have went down. Granted, I do like how you're trying to make Snot feel better, I'll just shut up now. But then we get one final exchange.
What should we do now?
What do you feel like doing, big guy?
Maybe we should go to 31 flavors.
That sounds great.
Yeah, I'm not completely sold on this. Like, it's great that Snot and Steve rekindled their friendship, and it was cool they decided to go get ice cream together as friends, but Steve still hasn't really learned his lesson, I'd argue. To him, he's still king of the nerds. He only made up with Snot, not Barry or Toshi, aka two people who were carrying out his bidding. I think it would be better if he phrased the question to all of his friends, not just Snot, like, do you fellas want to come with, or do you fellas want to do it, or something along those lines. Or if he asked the rest of the group what they wanted to do, and maybe they decide on something better than Baskin-Robbins or theme parks. Since, no offense, nobody really seemed jazzed about the idea besides Steve. And I kinda get a theme park, it's supposed to be a special day. But Snot is cool with it, and he's fine with Jenny's demise.
Things aren't so bad. I've got good friends, and I realized I can get over the death of a girlfriend really quickly.
Well, then again, she also majorly lied to you, you didn't date her that long, your teenagers would probably wasn't that deep, and your relationship was primarily physical. Or you're a sociopath, who knows? Roger comes by and explains to Steve and the audience how he faked Jenny's death via super speed.
You sure can.
I can.
My underwear! Can I have those back?
Nope, I already sold them to that guy.
BTW, this is the first episode to establish Roger has the power of super speed, which I do like how they took this one-off gag and made it into a full-on part of Roger's identity as a character and his personas, and even if it was just made to be a joke at the end of the episode, and probably not at all taken seriously, so good job. So I'll be perfectly honest, I actually did like this episode way more than I thought I would. I thought I was gonna tear it limb from limb, but yeah, honestly it's pretty fine on its own. Granted, yes, I don't think Jenny and Snot should have been together. Snot's a minor, Roger is borderline an adult, and while I do love the humor, it's still super weird. You guys know that when it comes to shipping, I have two rules with very few exceptions. No minors and adults together, and no incest. And Jenny and Snot fall under one of those categories. She had to go, I'm sorry. Anyhow, bye!